Yeah, I said that for sure. Why so many jewelry? Simply, it's protect. We had been learned that, when something happens, and you must run away. Mostly, stay with what you have on yourself. Especially during hard time, like wars, joy is something what you can sell and exist. That's why women in Middle East, India as well, Russian woman has many jewelry on the body. It's simply protection. Now, for sure, harem. If I will need to choose, sincerely, I will say harem give better protection. Simply because human is not monogamic animal. I thought something like that is actually put to our mind by stories, by any other things, especially in Western. But we are not geese. We are not coin. As well, we are not Mandarin duck, and we can give any other example. We are not this type of animals, so no. So yeah, it's one of familiar ring, one of two in which survive. The second one is fatwa. So today we're gonna speak about harem. Okay, so harem, Tiram, Gyneceum, or Zenana in Arabic world. It's for reminding people that harem in Russia, known as Tiram, disappeared under Peter the Great, so not so far away. Orthodox Church has nothing against polygamy. Divorce as well is actually is not too difficult to take divorce, like for example in Catholic Church. Today's creation of a family is the creation and the convenience of people. Harem is not an Arabic name, as it usually is possible to read in many books, but typically it's a Turkish one. Zenana is Arabic name. However, since the colonists believe that Istanbul was the name of Constantinople, it actually was never changed until Atatürk time. How could they think that harem is not the Arabic name? We will use, however, Turkish names as well because are so much popular. Although I would like to point on that the Turks completely took over the system of the state and called organization from the Byzantines, from us. Unfortunately, they didn't change anything. Even worse, Mehmet Fatih married women from noble families. For wives with I speak about ways with real Muslim wedding with treaty who does what in relationship, from taking out the trash to having sex. How many money we spend on gifts, actually everything is right there. As well, if men can have a second wife or not, but it as well depends of nobility. Or nobility of woman as well, yes. But maybe we're gonna to speak about harem, not how it works today. When he took the capital, it was time as well for relationship, let's call it less formal in European terms, but they were formal, of course. We speak about marriage called popular for 1 hour, something like that. Only Suleiman will take a Muslim wedding again and remain the first and last queen. Hazeki is not a wife. She is chosen among many. The most important one with power, but bound by short marriage. The one who legalizes prostitution today. With princess, however, husband cannot marry over woman. It's important, but in the case of princess, we have a different system. It's literally, you married. Actually, sultan was a name used by European. We called the ruler padishah in that time. Yes, because Persian language was language of court. Woman was as well monogamy. She couldn't have other husband. So it like what works with men who married the princess. He couldn't get another wife. It was privilege, but privilege always has cost. I'm afraid that he has not so many, if changed the role into someone who is like escort, always is better far from the great horse. So I'm afraid that it's as well not possible. It's little like with Christian hand fasting and a wedding, but the hand fasting have actually disappeared. The biggest problem with understanding this place is that the harem was described as in Westerns who could never cross its threshold, even if they were in these countries or made up nonsense like Marquis de Sade. His description of world of concubines lying around doing nothing on the water only to erotism became established, and really it's fake. The man even forgot to mention that the Russian tyranny disappeared. Actually, it's possible to say in his lifetime. But the Sad wrote only to make fun of something. It was read to retaliate, but we not speak today about the Sad. Maybe in another time. Harem is a very politicized place. In fact, that is a place where politics is made because everyone is seeking influence. It is said that if you survive one day in harem, it's like you exist 1,000 years outside it. It's true. It's really to know how to move, what speak, and crying actually is not possible. We survive just strong people. Actually, I think that just strong people survive instead. That's why Western people not so much pass to us, especially nowadays. This forces a partial system, of course, because the successor must be one. Who to seek influence from? The one who is the mother of heir to the throne. It's a woman house. It's need to clearly say it. What mean that word? The state would not function if the ruler lived only in the harem. It would be impossible, especially if we speak about that system. There is actually any difference between the system of Louis XIV and the system of Basileus or later Padishah. Women's house, so mothers, daughters, sisters of the ruler also lived there. Contrary to appearances, many of these women will never see the ruler, the family. They will be married off to dignitaries or remain as servants. It's a myth either. Whereas women are not slaves. American films like to perpetuate this, and so did the British films, but sincerely, actually, since Bayezid Yildirim, everything changed. And Basileus court, of course, it was context, yes. But as well, it's difficult to speak about slaves. By the time, anyway, give birth to his children, we are already full-fledged and got really political power. I would say more that they are more than full citizens than. Thought, of course, it's a fragile line. Yes, slaves work in the palace, but it's more often possible to meet that in China than in Turkey, mostly in the case of men. We would speak about the slaves there. Yeah, from Tunisia. Why from Tunisia? Well, sincerely, Tunisian were from erotic lessons. They teach, we taught erotic. They were verb just for it. Yeah, of course, he was. It's possible to call him Tunisian now. Yeah, he was famous president. It's possible to got as well Tunisians were for that, but we hadn't any high role. There is also a strict hierarchy in the harem. Most important function is performed by valid sultan. Actually, I think that Turkish language is just one of few where there is no word for calling mother which begin on M. Yeah, still it's possible to have valide as well or anande in Turkish, but people use what depends in speech. But there is misleading, of course, as the word valide means mother, but let's not forget that Suleiman's daughter Mihrimah was valide sultan during her father's mourning period and briefly during her brother's reign. A situation is similar in the case of Mahidevran. She's valide for the son of her arch-enemy Roxolan, better known in East as Harem Sultan, or Alexandra Lisowska from Rohatim, now in Ukraine. She was Russian. Yes, she was in that time. No, it's not possible in that time to speak about Ukraine. She was from the part which was sincerely we put it in map Russia. That's why I got the name Roxolan from Latin. It's according to Selin's Rice's mother last will, as she invites to return to the court. Anyway, we know the story of amazing love from her, as well as the story of Selim. She outlived them all. She lived almost 100 years. Harem kept in secret from her husband that she sent her money for existence. For many months, only she and Selim know that the Sultan is dead. Thanks to this, Rose Shigedvard was captured. It was amazing reason for sure. That's why we can't speak here about harem war in the case of Harem Sultan and Mahidevran. It was system. Kusem, Turhan, indeed. Turhan and Gulnush. Metullah for sure. Nurbanu and Safia. Yes. In fact, the system made these women enemies, not themselves. Kusem, who killed all her sons, also declared herself valide during the reign of her grandson, whom she also wanted to kill. Irene is also an interesting case. At the same time, she was Basilisa. The second most important is Hazeki, which is a rural favorite partner. However, not every ruler had Hazeki. Although Kusem claimed her to be Hazeki and even the wife of Sultan, unfortunately the series perpetuated this myth. This was not clearly case because even the original unfalsified will testifies to the fact that Ahmed clearly indicated the power must not be handed over to Kusem, as she will destroy the state. We only have Harem and Suleiman's certificate of marriage. In the case of Kusem, we have nothing. and a lot of papers are left by these people. If she was so powerful, of course, this act for sure would be exist. While during her reign, children from over Ahmed's relationships appear every now and then. It seems that he had no Hazaki for sure he as well as was so religious Muslim, so exists possibility that no, that system we can speak about that system just in the case of Turkish court, which chose rules from Byzant. So if he was Orthodox Muslim, he could think like people in Arabic Peninsula, so he could not have Hazeki. Okay, I agree it's difficult because to Hazeki each children must say mother. It's taken from ancient Egypt actually, but it's a mini act of bonus. And the greatest problem is that language. But still people work on it and read it. Yes, we'll say about it later. There's just some really brave kind that in that case just someone really brave can write that she was a wife of Ahmed, because in elementary books wrote by historians, well-known historians of the subject, no one will write for sure that she was wife of Ahmed. During the reign of Suleiman, the Harem was dissolved in the sense that the overwomen were expelled. But mother, of course, mother, if I could remember, died before that marriage. But sisters and Gulhan had to, of course, stay. He married Roxolane, as well known as Alessandra Lisowska, and in East known as Harem Sultan. She is both the first and the last for many centuries to be crowned as formally regent woman of a Muslim state for the entire 10 years when Suleiman is on war. It as well shows how much that man believed in his wife, that he gave her power to be a former regent. She met I think some, but she proclaimed herself. But here husband gave not everyone liked it, but Gusam proclaimed her as a regent. That's why she ended like she ended, strung by her hair. But with Harem, by the time people had respect, and it was possible that she was beloved by the nation, because we great know the story when Sultan discovered that she died, she's dying, and as well that information gone outside the palace. She hid it before everyone, as she has cancer, and people came to the palace, and first time in the history, probably last time in the history, Sultan stand behind and woman sit on the throne, and she took she had meeting with people. We came to thank her for that 10 years of reign, and as well Sultan was proud because he heard that she was great well in that time, and prosperity of a country still grow up. Yeah, that's why we call it Muhtasham Yuzur, Magnificent Centauri, because it was Magnificent Centauri. In fact, just they are on the list of rulers. Just actually, it's possible to say that in Europe gave cards Suleiman, as well Charles, Emperor Charles, who will be an enemy, and Henry Tudor in some cases with 3 people, and the rest is just points on map. Adds to this great 3. Yeah, many over, but it's not now about to speak. In our world, Suleiman Magnificent is known as Kanui, Legislator. To be able to marry his beloved, he changed the love. From now on, Muslim can marry women who are followers of the holy books. It's worth a bit like the love of Henry Tudor. That's why I spoke about him as well. Suleiman was the lord of Mecca at that time, and was also the spiritual leader of the Muslims, so he could change that, like he could give fatwa. However, women are not allowed to marry non-Muslim. It just is that in fact no one thought about it at that time. Love was created the love under himself. In the traditional Orthodox families, someone from different traditions is unlikely to be welcome later. There are some marriage between Muslim women and non-Muslim men, but very often it's connected with ostracism and one part of family. Western can believe that if they marry a Muslim woman, they will have a slave. Not on contrary. We will be very surprised, and besides, Muslim women cannot take a non-Muslim husband. Family will not accept it, and family has here last word. Yes, of course, Muslim marriages are created not of love, actually. Eastern marriage. Sincerely, if we will speak about marriages, it's need to say that more marriages in the world are take because our case than love. It just probably Western behavior in that means. And actually that marriage taken not because of love. In that part of the world are not so many divorces. Yeah, Russia is that example. Of course, people married for mostly women married for money, but there is a problem of alcoholism and as well as protection. Well, in Russia and republics, as well as satellites, in some satellites, love about protection of family exists, but we agree not that. Yes, it's not work well. If you not protect yourself, especially if someone is soldier, policeman, someone is connect, you will have no chance to protect yourself. But in Russia, simply something like a beating in I have no idea how to say it now. I lost words gone. Something like a beating of woman, a beating of children in love not exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist. It's like, yes, it's like with prostitution, of course. It as well not exist, but we gone on the road, not near capital in these countries, but far away in deep country where we can meet poverty as well. Prostitution exists, but it's, it's good because you cannot pay taxes, but as well it's of course now I like it's sarcasm, of course. It's have bad side because that woman has no protection. So I will say that I'm if but it's as well a different subject. Prostitution exists, will be exist, but I think that should be legalized because it gives protection to these women. Sometimes I wrote a note to one of newspapers about that problem, and it's not like that this woman want to be a prostitute. Some, of course, but mostly they do it because they have children, and men because that love of protective family not exist, not payment for they take care after divorce. They have very small salaries. They have no other way to get the money for exist. So it's complicated problem. Really, and that's why I always said that prostitution should be legalized, of course, in normal way. In normal way, with not ostracism, but that problem will not disappear, to be honest. That problem will not disappear. That problem exists since the beginning of country's history. We know that it is yes, in some countries prostitution is sacred, of course, but okay, we leave prostitution, we return to harem. A man likes the big man, especially those in West, I'm afraid, but in the Asian Middle Eastern world, the case is not so simple. The stupid ones are for an hour, but to the ruler or someone powerful or to marriage well, the stupid will never reach them. Women like Harem, Safia, Empress Key, Theodora, they received a talk education, learned the language of the ruler. In the case of Masnin, of course, Arabic to be able to read the Quran and Persian. The court used mainly these languages. It was official languages. That's why we have no problem with Turkish documents from Osman dynasty period, because Turkish language was cleaned by Atatürk. But in that time, actually, Turkish language was something what had Greek, Persian, Arabic, and Turkish in it. So it was a mixed language of this. It's worth to remember about it. Today to know to study legendary piles of the Harem, you need to know Persian, Turkish, Greek, Arabic, because the Turkish of that time was a language composed of them. They also receive education on etiquette and erotica as well as politics. It took many years before they came to Harem. Empress Key came on her own. Probably Theodora as well, because she made that connection. So she chose that role. They are feminist in times when European women can even sign, and after centuries they will distort this concept. I do not see in feminism the fact that women work for the man is a laundress, a cleaner, a cook, a whore in the evenings, and even a breeding cow, but she is supposedly liberated. I would like it to be unliberated and do one thing well. Men are there to provide for women and family, and I agree with that. Probably it was saying that feminism was innovated by lazy men who were fit up with family and responsibilities. Well, the sultan can actually do everything. She doesn't even have to cover her face when she goes outside and give orders to the military. She has her own property. Actually, everyone in Harem has own property. It was well something different from Western world, because in that time, man is responsible for your property, and Greek princess or later Turkish, they have own property, and they can spend their property as they want. They are very rich people, yes. Mihrimach is still on a list of people who are one of most powerful and most richest in the history of world. She has, if I could remember, as well on fabric. So it's something not possible to meet. Yes, she will be able to own Moscow, so she must have money, cash for exist. The one thing which cannot is not allowed to valid the sultan is to take a new husband or a lover. This would terminate her own dynastic rights. Well, it's also satirizing but the fear of questioning paternity in times when there are no genetic tests is important. Hazeki also has her fortune. These women most often came from eminent families, actually, and were presented by someone from environment. Latest competition, yes, it's survived in Ottoman Turkey, but as it's possible to say more often about in China. Where it really matters. Greeks will scream now, but Harem books don't lie. The old families of rulers give their daughters to the new ones, thus they remain in the power. Osmans have Byzantine blood. People, women from families like Komnenos, Peleogos, were Hazeki. Example, Handam. Yes, the names. Something what really can drive the crazy. Some people and some don't like it. It's changing the name. Yes, and it exists as well in China and in Japan, but where we speak as in that subject, in that case, as well about men. So exist actually 5 names, whereas one human can have 5 names during her whole life. and existence. So first is birth name. When a woman came to Harem, or we speak about men, when he crossed matured, he changed a name. When a woman get married now, she changed the name. Next, when she can born a children, she as well could change name, but not so often. Now, when in the middle age, for sure is change the name. When she became Hazeki, she got new name from from her partner, her husband. And the last name is burial name. It's something what I hate and which make misunderstood for Western people, and they get madness when they come to learn politics science, for example, of Middle East, and have history of Middle East and all Far West. Is that East use name under which the human was born. In West is used name burial. That create many mistakes that people really need to search. Sometimes they will not search nothing. I think that we as well, if we teach someone from West, we produce movies, especially when we produce movies about famous people who are as well now in West. We should really use that name, which is burial, for make it easier for them. Yes, Tsar, of course, changed the name. Tsarinas, mostly because they from our cultures, they changed names. During coronation mostly, and or before name, marriage. Yes, of course. For example, even last Selina changed. It's Selina Katarina as well, as not Katarina but Sophie. The status of ruler daughters and sister is completely different. A wedding ceremony. The tradition is that the spouse crouches in the front of her princess and pledge her fidelity, as well as a monogamy with he promise the monogamy with a knife put near to his neck. It's probably from steppe, it's probably taken from Mongols. We have no idea. We can just suppose that it was taken from Mongols, that type of ceremony. Dagger, yes, dagger. It was why Ibrahim Pasha disappeared from the world, because he took a second wife. Many keep calm. Not his conflict with Roxanne, no, that took his downfall. He made a joke of a dynasty, and there was no other way then. Yes, it was well because we came here to that life of protect genetic of the children, because if the ruler and his whole family will disappear, who will become the ruler? A children of his sister. But then it's need to a monogamy, because it's not sure if that husband will not put child from a second wife, or but why will not take the power? Harem actually is so simple if someone know how to love. And for sure, everything the guys is as well that he wanted to create a new dynasty. He forgot many things. He still was actually a slave who became free human. Probably she was always free human when she crossed the harem since the beginning. He didn't got he never got that fatwa. We call it the love of Constantinople. In fact, Vyasa just recorded tradition, but it pre-existed in the steppe and it centrally came from the Roman Empire. It had a little of Rome from the beginning, because the official language of these territories had been Greek for centuries. Even when they were a unity, even language official was Greek, not Latin in that part. Writer Pilate addressed to Jesus in Greek and in Latin, actually in the movies. He was as well definitely not a black man. I'm sorry that is need to tell it. It was finished by Mehmed Fatih, who had enough of family screaming. However, it should be noted that Byzantium did the same. The ruler has many children because the mortality rate is quite high, there are no antibiotics. It is also a sign of status, especially in Islam. However, the Byzantines and Ottomans made one strategic mistake. It's a shadow for everyone who is ruler. Let's see if we'll speak about a crippled people in our case. Exist thanks to mercenary army. We'll leave it and speak about Machiavelli and Art of War of Sun Tzu and Machiavelli in later. But exist to develop armies. Here is mercenary armies. Before we speak about Vikings, Vikes, and now we speak about many other nations as well. On the day of coronation, the ruler swears on the oath to the army. The commander asks directly, "Is there are other worthy successor who we could choose?" "No." "Prove it." So I prove it. Then there was a famous scene with open the gate to the harem with special with special squad which carried out coffins of a harem, pregnant women of a previous ruler and each male descendant. There must be one ruler for protect population from revolution. And revolution of Renaissance always was cruel. Brutal, yes, of course, but everyone agrees that when the coffee was introduced, people looked sometimes 25 years or longer. were no longer from that era at best. They are not fit to be the ruler. No, it was something like came from comma. It's good if you are straight, simply human, but not if from the beginning you must rule the one of the biggest country in the history. Simply they feel not fit to be rulers because they did not find themselves in the world. They had as well no education. More often, however, these people gone out with strong mental disease. By the time Gyneceum began to climb to the throne in rural every 6 months or even a month, probably to gain some privileges. If he does something that we don't want, he will be overthrown. After all, we have so many overs in the coffers, maybe they will give that to us. It actually changed in junta with a doll. It will be like this until the time of English Mustafa, who will start to form a national army and Nakshidr. They will disperse the initially simply by killing them, but the stake can no longer be saved. If English Mustafa had lived in the time of Osman II, yes, but now it's too late. It's even amazing that Osmans and the Yuan left the love of our predecessors, although the system is associated with them, and like by using it they took a power from us. It functioned as well in Russian Harem, of course. Principalities Byzantium as well in China, and as well at the Mughal court they used opium. Only Genghis Khan protected all his sons, including the one who was definitely not his. For the betrayal of that princess, a husband is strangled, is killed. Of course, strangled if he is noble Bible. CSA speak clearly here about it. Noble blood cannot be shed. It is impossible to kill noble man by a weapon like sword. At later gun as well. Nobody talk about other methods. Yes. So in Eastern Poland, Olandrin and the bowstring are rules. The Tatars have silver chain, yes, a chain for as well protection, which is now part of wearing. But if you will touch it, it's really can be a great weapon. What did we speak later? The Mughals have opium, the consumption. Yuan silk, like the Byzantines exactly. Sentences are carried out by a special branch. Contrary to appearance, something good came out of a currently. This a squad is created of deaf and mute people. They are the highest paid men in the country, waiting for a single order for the one day of coronation. Such people were chosen so that they would not hear the skins of the victims, will not betray the ruler's order, and will not change their minds if they were pestered. The elitists sang language for them, and just elitists teach what language. Sultans has equivalent no language. That's actually is possible to say where it was born, that language. They are to wait for the day of coronation to portray the family. Hage good so that the army will not rebel among the people, and this army is really bloody. No mountain is Machiavelli, just like Cesare Borgia, no Prince Cem, and the system perfectly. One he wrote down and the overused. Cesare is as well on the list of rulers of rulers. Heigerstedt good. Of course, some things like zoophilia have always been abnormal and considered perversion, bestiality, but still one should not look at the mentality of a person living 500 years ago according to ours. Our in 100 years no one will understand either. After all, young people in Europe already have a problem understanding the motivations of World War II. Okay, you have great grandfather, but it's still show how mentality is changing. Even eminent historians try to do it as early as possible. Still, any politician of common sense will understand that sometimes it is better to sacrifice one's own environment than to lead to a civil war. And we are talking about such a thing. This was a choice at that time of the Byzantine coronation and Osman as well. This name has not been changed either as well. The simple man will not understand it. Besides, today politicians too often sacrifice the lives of ordinary people for their own ambitions than on violence. This is the legacy of Second World War, of course. Weddingless, okay, we speak about weddingless. Of course that. I don't know where those white dresses came from. And I don't want now to check his story of wedding. Catholics still in the Middle Ages go to the weddings in wedding dress. These dresses became a permanent part of the white dresses. Became permanent part of the culture in the 19th century, so very late. When the crisis of virgin actually began, but sincerely is not read anywhere what white mean virgin. In Islam, a divorced woman is more valuable than a virgin, as a simple love of a stop of dessert. If she gave birth to her children, she will born your children as well. With virgin we have not that sure in that time, of course. The last Tsarina were called in golden dress. Byzant has gold. Byzantine traditional wedding dress is 25 kilos. Yes, it's really heavy. The Empress of China will also wear red, and only wedding. You know why it's curtains? Scarlet curtains, I will not change that. In Turkey, because Europeans tracked them there, but it's as well not Muslim, but to Arabic Peninsula, but people look at it. I'm still not so sure. But traditional Turkish wedding will be with a red dress. Right, well, it's it's sometimes a family pattern song, and in Shaul, for sure, but generally is white generally in East for funerals. If you are going to a wedding in that part of the world, it's better not to wear nothing white. In Asia as well, but not always. For example, Vietnam, but it is misleading because violet. And in Asia it's violet, but in Vietnam it's is misleading because it is as well a color of power, but as well color of funeral in Vietnam. In part of Asia, it will be color of rulers. So that's all.